Hi everybody, welcome back. It is the start of the new year, or technically just about to start the new year as we record this, but this will be coming out in January. So we're going to have a little bit of a think about Microsoft Places. It was the last full year in GA last year, and there's a lot coming this year. Brennan, you've been on a few times now, so I don't know. I think most people know who you are by now if they're in the Teams or the AI workplace kind of sphere. But do you want to just introduce yourself and your role?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Good to be back, as always. I'm Brennan McReynolds. I lead product strategy within the Places product and engineering group.
Awesome. So let's cast our minds back all the way back to last year, for your first year really in GA in market. How was that? And I guess let's talk about how the product's evolved over that year.
Yeah. Well, certainly it was a long awaited and in many ways long overdue GA for Places, given that it was announced a number of years prior. So getting the product out into the market and creating a sense of awareness, creating familiarity around this concept of coordination and setting your work plan and where I intend to be and sharing that with others is just really critical to, I think, the future ways of working. Whether you agree with hybrid or exist in a hybrid model or not, we all have flexibility. Flexibility is a permanent thing that will stay with us in how we work. If I need to leave to pick up my kids or do these things, right? So Places supports enables some of the advancements we've seen in just flexible ways of working, regardless of in office or versus remote. Mm-hmm. So that getting that out into the market really begins to create that new narrative or framework for how to leverage these signals and meet the user where they are, in Microsoft Calendar and Teams. So that was a big part of that GA moment. And then also just the better ways of booking a space, right? Booking a room, having a map within M365 are all kind of these foundational elements. Halfway through the year, we also knew that at GA, that wasn't everything that customers are asking for. And in fact, you could build in perpetuity in this space and really never be done. But the key part of our summer release was individual desk booking on a map, being able to see where Tom is sitting, sit next to him for the day, plug my device into that monitor at my desk that I've reserved, and just that simple act of plugging my laptop into that monitor checks me in, updates my location in Teams. So this continued story of meeting the user where they are and the things that we just naturally do when we come in the office to secure and to feel confident that I have a place to work today is really what we set out to do this year. And by all accounts, we've kind of got the V1 of that of those experiences out there.
Yeah, it's been interesting. It's an interesting backdrop to this product as well. The whole all remote hybrid working, and like the last half of last year, there was a lot of return to office, like different in different countries. But suddenly we started hearing the stories we held pre-pandemic of there isn't enough desks or parking or meeting rooms and we've had a lot of customers on the podcast late last year that are doing massive Teams rooms rollout, and it was all in aid of more back to office, more collaboration, more being in not even office but same spaces is a big one.
Yeah, when you think about it, people always talk about desk booking. It's not about desk booking, it's about managing supply and demand of space. And it's about having a flexible way to do that as the needs of the organization and the space that they go into every day evolve and change, right? So I'm not an advocate that desk booking is needed for everybody. I think that's certainly not our position. Our position mm-hmm. is I need to be able to assign a desk to Tom today. And as a colleague of yours, I need to be able to say, where is Tom today? And if he chooses to share that on a map, I can find him so I can go sit next to him, right? That's not a function of desk booking. That's just a function of in-person connection and collaboration, which is really what we're most focused on. But the trends are real. And if pre-pandemic, most organizations globally had an employee to seat ratio of 1 to 1.25 people per desk. Like the data shows that most organizations are moving to a 2 employees to 1 desk ratio, if not farther in excess of that. We have some customers who have a 5 to 1 ratio, 5 employees to 1 desk, right? So in those environments, you absolutely need some way of feeling feeling confident, securing your space. Here's where I'm sitting today. That the commute is worth it. I'm not going to have that commute regret where I drove for 45 minutes and I can't find a space next to the people that are most meaningful to me. Or alternatively, I have to go down on the second floor into the dark corner and that nobody sits in, and everybody else I know is up on a different part of the floor. Like that's not a great experience. So our job is really to create the tools and the flexible solutions to let our customers manage their workplaces that align to their
bringing the right people together is such a strong resonates with me in terms of storylines. I'm talking like lots of legal customers who have been very pro in the office, but like actually making it count. So like with your peers in the right spot, as you say, not just come into the office and do Teams calls all day, but actually sit near my colleagues or near the people that matter to me. That seems like a really big deal.
Yeah, not everybody understands or knows that like the Places team sits within Microsoft as a part of a larger organization named Time and Place. And that's important because time is Microsoft Calendar. And our team really owns these calendar services, and Places' role in enabling the context of location of your buildings, your rooms, your floors, et cetera, and then who is with me today is fundamental to helping our organizations and our customers. And you think about like even the mission statement of Microsoft is like help every person, every organization achieve more. And then when you think about what our team is responsible for doing is more ... at the right time and place. And the right is this intelligent AI suggestive nature of what we're building, and then obviously time is calendar, and place is the space of which you need and you want to have to achieve your purpose for the day. And if that's having quiet time by yourself, then the product can do that. If it's actually sitting next to the people that are most relevant to you, the product can also support that. So that's really kind of what gets us up every day, and what we continue to be focused on.
That's awesome. I want to talk about the management portal that came in last year, and I want to talk about the API story. But before we get to that, like Work IQ, I really enjoyed your session at Ignite, and kind of I think the Work IQ messaging full stop is a really great way to understand the value of data to the user and the AI experience. But like, talk us through your thinking in terms of Work IQ and Places, because that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's really what we're responsible for, is making sure that Work IQ and therefore Copilot have that location-based context to understand the buildings, the floors, the rooms, the desks, and then also the context of who's planning to be here today or who's here with me, if they choose to share it, in order to create the most, or support your purpose, for the day. The reality is customers' organizations, though, that real estate data resides in third-party systems of record. And they also do a lot of other things around leases or asset management that, that's not what we're trying to accomplish. So we're partnering with those industry leaders to establish APIs and connectors that allow for that spatial data to continue to be maintained by real estate and by facilities and these different organizations, while at the same time meeting the user where they are across M365, delivering, up-to-date spatial data, up-to-date map experiences that, allow for more streamlined, seamless space reservation experiences or in-person, collaboration.
It feels like that partnership and API story has got a lot clearer over the year, certainly for me externally, as to like where Places is strong and where it's the right thing to do to have these API integrations. I know the APIs have just gone GA as well. Like, talk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so if you think about the Places directory as almost intra-active directory, but for place and space, we have published to Graph, effectively enabling all CRUD operations on the Places directory. So letting these third-party systems create, update, and manage and delete those objects such that they can flow more naturally and maintain the relevancy, across Places and M365. And the reality is, like, through my experience in real estate and facilities, when we were doing this 7 or 8 years ago, 1 out of every 10 buildings has some type of spatial layout on a monthly basis that is going to need to have that floor plan then updated where the user is experiencing that reservation experience. Like at scale for an organization who has, 100 floors, let alone 100 buildings with 1,000 floors, that's unmanageable unless you have these APIs available and these connections with these industry leaders. So, and to your point, I think it wasn't clear early on at GA like how this is all going to work, and it's certainly taken some more declarative statements on our side. I show up to customers with these partners who manage all this spatial data with their customer, and I'm like, we're not trying to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Here's how we work together, and everybody kind of like, the tone.
yeah. Because like we've just invested a lot in our global management of facilities and the infrastructure and stuff like that. And it's like, I'm not looking to replace that scenario. I'm letting it's kind of like for me anyway, like augment the end user experience. And your end user is living in Teams and Outlook. Like that's their knowledge worker life. How do we unlock the power of that data into those scenarios?
You bet.
Awesome. And I might put you on the spot with who the partners are, but you've kind of got you've got mapping partners, so helping get that information in, and then you've got kind of the more, I guess, AppSpace and others where it's a different use of the API. What are the kind of two scenarios there?
Yeah, I think there's we actually have three. There's three patterns that I'll talk about in a second. The first is like categorically the partners today either come from a map first experience. So that's the Pointers, Maptons, Archeologics, who also does other things, but who are taking a raw map format. Maybe it's an image file. I mean, we've got, when I talk to partners, they're like, somebody took a picture of their fire escape plan on the wall, sent that to me as a mapping partner, and they converted that into an IMDF that shows up in places, right? Or some organizations are very structured and they have DWG files, that come from AutoCAD, and then those get converted to IMDF. So there's a need for standardization of floor plans and getting those into the right format. These mapping conversion partners have done a great job at doing that. At the same time, there's these systems of record that I've mentioned. Eptour is a market leader, Planon's a market leader, ServiceNow has a product, IBM has a product in that, in that as well. JLL, who's a global real estate services provider, also has a technology layer that can abstract that data from those systems and manage it and organize it so it works in places as well. So, all of these different combinations or permutations of how you think about spatial data are being supported via these graph APIs. And we're also getting ready to add, another wave of partners as well, because you have different sized customers, you have all kinds of market leaders across the globe. So look for more announcements and sharing of other solutions in the market who are working with our APIs.
Awesome. So what are the other scenarios then?
Yeah, so that's really, if there's three patterns. Pattern one is spatial data in and out of places.
Yeah.
Pattern two is about signal, and that's understanding, is there a signal, first party, third party, to release a room in case it's not occupied, to measure the occupancy that's in that room itself. Now, obviously, we're doing that with Ilya's team and sensors that exist naturally through the OEM devices and our team certified devices. But there's a lot of great third-party sensors in the market that can trigger, like, if this room is not occupied, the room should be released. So in fact, we're getting ready to publish another set of APIs that will allow for additional opportunities to check in or release rooms based off of that third-party signal.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So like just broaden that, inclusive of you have a badge swipe. Like we think about, you have a building level, you have a badge. At a room level, you have room level sensors, and even at a desk, then you have peripherals or other touchscreen displays that you can leverage to create and connect that end-to-end experience.
And that's where Teams comes in again. So the Teams team have the concept of understanding if you're plugged into a particular, you see a lot of these USB hub video monitors, like that kind of thing for desk allocation. And just at, I think it was an Ignite announcement, we saw the first, I'm not sure the name's been finalized, but like the kind of smart dock concept, like a Teams-based dock that has a display that can start to do the desk booking scenario in the Teams experience and tied into places as well. Exactly.
Yeah, that Yealink device will be the first with that kind of Teams interface there on that mini panel. And what's great there is that, that as I think about updating, managing my desk or who's sitting where, then you do have that visual confirmation of, is this mine? And, some of those things that just become, you're not having to put stickies on a desk saying this is Tom's assigned desk, right? Like, how do you just make things feel more, more connected, but also going back to the flexibility discussion we had earlier, that allows for the admin portal. If I'm going to make these updated changes, then that gets reflected downstream at a display level as well. So we're excited about that. So that's pattern two, is really about signal, whether it's occupancy related or check-in related. And then you mentioned AppSpace earlier. So, pattern three, while AppSpace is unique because we can, pattern one applies there. Pattern three applies there as well in terms of extensible experiences. And examples of that are, and really for the future, is visitor management, right? So if I'm inviting Tom to the Microsoft office, you need to go through the visitor management system. So how do we connect into whether it's visitor management, whether it's a kiosk or a signage experience that an app space has from a digital signage perspective, or other just services and amenities that are available in these different systems that exist globally. We want to make sure that we continue to empower those different technologies and those partners that exist. Because the reality is, like many organizations, especially global organizations, your workplace tech stack or workplace experience tech stack, to be more specific, varies from country to country or region to region, right?
Yeah.
And that means that every building that's set up in M365 needs to be able to connect into those specific experiences and services that are being enabled through technology. So data, pattern 1, data in and out, places directory. Pattern 2, signal in and out. And then pattern 3 is extensible experiences. So thinking about locker booking down the road or other things that we're not necessarily going to prioritize at the moment, allows for others to build on top of it with us.
That's really good to understand these patterns. It's an interesting comparison in my head to where we went with Link and Skype Business and Teams, where for places to be successful, you have to have these APIs and partnerships, because you're not displacing, you're augmenting. So like actually those partnerships and that API and also you're bringing together different teams. You're probably bringing together the Microsoft end user experience, worker experience, whatever it is, part of the business, and the facilities. Hopefully they're all in one org, but often they're not. Like everybody has to be happy about, well, we use this tool and we use this tool and they work together. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I know there's more we're going to talk about later in this year, so we can't break it all out now, but there's a lot coming this year that's really exciting. Any kind of last thoughts as we go into the year around I guess how people should be thinking about this, or what should they be thinking about getting started if they haven't yet gone down? And I know you've got some numbers that we can't share yet as well, but like there's been a good level of adoption last year, but there's obviously a lot of opportunity out there.
Yeah, I think that the initial reaction is that there's a lot of customers who have begun the journey, and that the journey begins with adding your buildings to the Places directory. And so, like, what is the takeaway for somebody who's not familiar with Places? Is like, add your buildings to the Places directory, because those buildings now show up I can set that intent of where I'm going to be. Those buildings also begin to attribute to asking Copilot what's the best day to go in this week, or who's in the office today, right? So I think what we haven't talked about, and is a little bit of a preview of, there's some natural things that you would expect Copilot to support from a scheduling and planning perspective. In natural language, and that's where we continue to be focused, and those things will start to come to fruition around just adding a room and saying, hey, I need to find a time to meet with Tom this week. So step 1 is calendar scheduling, finding the right time with time. Step 2 is, once I find that time, then what's the right room? Those things should be just naturally embedded in the way we think about interacting.
And we're starting to see the Copilot team put that in the chat experience as well, which is going to obviously rely on the foundations of what you guys are doing with the data in Places. My mind immediately jumps to, like, I'm so excited about Copilot Voice and the ability to do these same types of things. So whenever I see these things in UIs, my head jumps forward to, like, inevitably the voice interface is going to get better and better, but but IT need to lay these foundations now. So even if you don't see people necessarily using Copilot chat to book a meeting, which is coming, I can definitely see a case where, wouldn't it be amazing if I could be like, I'm meeting with Brennan on Thursday in the Seattle office. Can you find us a space? Like, that's where it's heading for me.
You're right. And that's where, like, it goes back to that the key action for everybody is, like, taking whatever rooms you have today and putting them into Places directory, making that conversion happen, putting your buildings into Places directory, beginning to put your floors in the Places directory, and then rooms and desks, and then ultimately you get into maps as well. But if I think about year 1, we're approaching or in excess of representative of 1 billion square feet of office that's been added into the Places directory, and that's exciting. There's a lot of office space out there, but it just shows that organizing this data in M365 will pay dividends to enabling location intelligent experiences for our customers across Copilot and across the M365 suite. So that's our laser focus. I think you'll certainly hear more of how we want to simplify that for our customers in the new year, and then there's a bunch of, I'm excited to get on the other half of some of these disclosures so you can kind of see what is coming. But this is a good way to end the year with a lot of momentum, a lot of tailwinds how we're going to build out this ecosystem with our partners and our customers. So.
Awesome. Well, Brennan, thanks so much for sharing the thoughts on last year and this year coming. And we'll, for everybody listening in, when there's more to share, we'll do another update. But yeah, stay tuned on the podcast and the newsletter, and as stuff breaks, we'll let you know. Thanks so much, Brennan.
Yeah, thanks so much, Tom. Happy holidays, everyone.
Cheers.